And I'm Tristan Merriam.
And this is The Colourist,
a podcast about colour and its influence on our lives. This week, we are talking all about your colour, Napoleonic Blue, and linking it to indigo.
Exactly.
Now, I thought this colour, as in Napoleonic Blue, got its name from the rich, deep blue associated with the military uniforms during the Napoleonic era only. I didn't ever consider the indigo links. So am I right, wrong, a little bit of both?
No, it's why I decided to call it Napoleonic Blue was because Napoleon had these wonderful army uniforms, deep, deep blue, and they're all dyed in indigo, which I think is just brilliant. And of course, he's the 19th century, late 18th, 19th century. And so all of the whole indigo thing, the indigo dyeing, all came to the forefront then, and particularly in France, actually all over Europe, which is, I think, mind-blowing. But yeah, indigo is huge.
And where did indigo begin then? Not presumably in France?
No, of course, all roads lead to India.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
One of our favourite places. So this is where it was first discovered as a dye?
I think, yes, I do think so. Yes. I think that there probably was in other places, but I don't think it had been really developed properly like it had been in India. And I think in India, it was really early. I think one of the most incredible things is, do you know, we've often talked about the Ashmolean Museum. Well, in the Ashmolean, they have a lot of scraps, small, tiny fabric scraps. And they were found in Egypt, ancient Egypt.
Oh, okay.
And they came from India, and they are dyed in this amazing indigo blue.
Amazing. But you're right, all roads lead back to India. And I think they had
and also to the Ashmolean.
Anything we want to see, go to the Ashmolean. Yeah. So tell us about indigo.
So it's derived from a plant, and it's very, very strong blue. It's a beautiful blue. In Europe, we had woad, particularly in England, but the woad was a blue. You may have heard, there's a film called Braveheart.
Oh yeah, that little.
They're all dyed.
Film.
They're all dyed. They were all covered in woad, and the Romans talked about that as well. That the British were blue. But it was not a really beautiful, strong blue. It didn't dye very well. I think it dyed certain things well, but not that well. And it was a greyish blue. So this is the first time that they could get a really blue. And it came via the Silk Roads in the 16th century and started in the 15th, 16th century and just blew everyone's socks off.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Can you imagine the person who first did that and thought, oh, blimey, we're onto something here.
Yeah. Well, it was the East India Company, of course, did it. And they did their incredible trading with the rest of the world. Not the nicest company, but they did actually bring it into Europe. And then that got you, the history of it is extraordinary.
And you've been lucky enough to visit India and see these factories, I suppose, these places where this...
Well, I wouldn't call them factories. They're really little villages. Yeah. And in these villages, they're dyeing all this fabric. Nowadays, of course, it isn't the real indigo. It's not the plant. It's now industrially made, or at last chemically made. But there's still the same techniques and the same idea of how it's all done.
And tell us about your visit then. When you saw all of this and this colour, it was obviously after your colour Napoleonic Blue was out.
Oh, yes.
But obviously linked.
So I should say what Napoleonic Blue is. And what indigo is. It's a blue which is slightly red, and it's just got a little... It's not purple by any means, but it's just got a hint. Napoleonic always had that little tiny bit of red in it. And when you go to the indigo dye place in India, you see, oh yeah, look, there it is, that little bit of blue. It's just a fascinating colour. It's a little village, and all over there are these big vats. And then I don't quite know the system because I can't remember it now, but there's these big, deep vats. And then there are sort of like ponds of funny coloured water, and there's about 4 of them, 5 or 6 of them actually. And each one is a different stage, and they're taking these cloth that they're dyeing from one bit to another to another. I suppose it's the way that they do the I don't know what it is.
It's a process, I guess. It's quite an involved, lengthy process.
And then they take it out and they will print onto it. They do resist printing onto it, or they'll just be dyeing and leaving it out, and they just leave it on the ground to dry. It's extraordinary among the dirt.
I know. Yeah.
And have you seen it?
No, but no. I've spoken to so many people who import from India, and it's quite shocking that actually it's all left on the dirt, and it doesn't matter. It's part of it.
But they do wash them after that. It's just that you see them lying out, drying in the sun. And then the little dog that comes along and pees on it. It's lovely.
Maybe it adds to the whole effect.
Maybe. But it's really beautiful and seeing them. And of course, in the same place, in the background of some of my photographs, you'll see that there's this madder, the bright pink of the madder.
Wow. So, yes.
And what are we talking about next week?
We're cutting to the end of the episode, but absolutely. These 2 episodes will go together. So next episode, once we've done this one, is Burgundy, which is linked to madder. So these are dyes, and this is all textiles and clothing and not paint.
Nothing.
So when did that translate into a paint colour? Much later.
Much later. I want to talk about them, and why I'm thinking about them so strongly is because these 2 colours made a huge impact on the world. I mean, blue is such a lovely colour to work with anyway. And then it's a sort of neutral for many people. It's a very easy colour to live with. So blues are really, really important. And the deep red, of course, I want to talk about them both together.
Just do a double edition.
I've got to keep it separate. But so blue is made a huge impact on the world.
But it's important because listeners need to sort of have that in their mind a little bit, because we are sort of talking about a similar thing.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 plants which have made such an impact on the world.
Yeah. And 2 humble little plants.
Yeah.
And now it is everywhere, obviously. So indigo doesn't just come from India, but the impact it's had, it's now manufactured and made everywhere around the world.
It is, but also in the way, because of the East India Company, they used it to trade other things.
Right.
And so they took the idea to West Africa. They took it to Japan. I mean, or they didn't, or Japan was already doing it. But there was a sort of cross-fertilization of ideas, particularly, actually Japan was probably a little bit separate, but there are cross-fertilization of ideas, which is amazing. I'm blown away by it. And also Central Asia, so Turkmenistan and all around there, Turkey and all of that. So these designs and ideas of of using indigo, you can see them. As I'm looking, I realise you can't just say it's all from India. It's from everywhere. And of course, India is now, as a modern concept, because it was the whole, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, they were all connected at one point, as they were all just one continuous area. And China, of course, there was stuff going on in China. So fascinating.
And France, as we just said. And I've got some of your notes here, and it's you talking about the motifs travelling from India to Europe. Is that a sort of slightly different byproduct of the indigo?
So what you've got to, in my mind, how I see it is that it all starts in the China and India and the whole, as I say, that whole subcontinent area. And then to Central Asia. And then it's brought to Britain and Europe in the 17th century onwards. And then, of course, we go, we can do this. We'll do it our own way.
We'll do it better,
and we'll do it better. Well, differently. Differently. So what happened was that the British started to make their own factories, and then we found a dye, and then our own dye. We stopped it being indigo, but it's the way.
It is the way it goes.
It's the way it goes. Yeah.
And you've got some examples here of various indigo items, textiles in this case.
Yeah. So I've got some stuff here. This is a beautiful piece of fabric. I think this is absolutely wonderful. I actually bought it from a company that I thought it was Peruvian, but it turned out, because I think there is some stuff from Peru and South America as well, but it was a company that did Peru. But I think that it's either Japanese or it's from West Africa. I don't know. But I'm a little confused now because I keep seeing things. Yeah, it's done in strips and
the one thing you do know is that it is indigo.
It's very much indigo. Yeah, it's really beautiful. This is a piece from West Africa, which I love, this cushion.
It's such an amazing pattern. And obviously combining the
madder as well. But I love this as a design because it's completely, it's very West African. Yeah, it's very neat, very West African as well. That is madder, but that's from China. So, from India. And this, I don't know whether this is from Africa or whether it's from Japan. It's just the design looks Japanese, but it also looks quite.
But that sort of proves our point of what we're talking about. It's spread and it comes from everywhere, and the whole world started using it and enjoying it.
So that's where it is in those Eastern countries or other countries other than Europe. And as I say, in the 16th, 17th century, and then by the 18th century, we're making it and we've changed the design. So you've got stuff coming from Hungary, which someone gave me a book. One of my stockists gave me this wonderful book about Hungarian indigo. She gave it to me last summer. And when I saw it, I had no idea that there was a whole folk art or folk craft of using indigo in a really folky, beautiful way. And
with textiles.
I've left the book, and it also printed using wooden blocks. So it's quite incredible. But what we did was when we got it to Europe and France, we started doing completely different sorts of designs. And that is where Toile de Jouy comes from. And Toile de Jouy is, I think, beautiful.
Absolutely. And a style that many people will be familiar with.
You all know about it. So that's a very, classical version of it. It's all these beautiful 18th century scenes.
Countryside scenes, buildings, trees.
Farming.
People enjoying the countryside, farming,
and this is really, and some of them go a little bit more. I think this might be a modern one. And of course, people have taken it, or maybe slightly Chinese.
Yeah, I was going to say.
People have taken these designs and done them in modern ways, which I really love. And
the main sort of thing, I suppose, that makes them so recognizable is the background is often a white or a cream and off-white. It's a neutral background with a strong blue color on top. Yeah. Which is very striking. But they also come in pinks. Keep plugging the next episode.
But then you do get that.
The reverse. So the background being the indigo.
Yeah. So these are all made in Mulholland, sort of, I think it's the Alsace area of France. And that's, for some reason, that's where they were all done, which I think is also very interesting. I've always wanted to go there. I never have quite gone there. I haven't got my book, but they're indigo printing in Hungary. And look at that. That's
and very similar to your top that you're wearing.
Oh, yes.
Still sort of.
Yes, there we are.
Similar sort of repeated pattern. You're on brand.
Did it deliberately.
You did.
So this is a design that you see a lot So this is
like the block prints that
it's a block
we've
print.
used and
It's
seen.
modern. It's Cézanne. Is it Cézanne? Yeah. Modern, but it's indigo.
But you're fully invested in the podcast recording today. You are living and breathing it, which is great.
But that's quite folky.
And that's the Hungarian.
That's very folky, I think.
And I've got also in your notes here about, when these fabrics and these colours came over to Europe, it's kind of created an instant fashion sensation from the French court to the general public.
Absolutely.
And is that where the military uniform started to be chosen in that particular colour, or was it more general fashion?
No, I wouldn't have thought anything to do with fashion. I would have just thought that this would be a really good design colole for them. It would be strong, powerful. I don't think it was expensive. I don't think the dye was expensive. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it. It couldn't be done if it was very, very expensive. I think the fashion item and the clothes and all the rest of it, and the whole chintz, that's a whole other thing I want to talk about. So much to talk about. That was to do with the design.
Okay.
And, layers of printing and colours and stuff like that.
Okay. And you mentioned the actual technique being named as the mordant technique.
Yes.
We're going very technical.
That's really technical.
But what's that roughly?
Well, there's mordant and resist. You're just making the fabric able to accept the fabric, the dye. That's all. And then there's a resist idea. So the resist means that you cover it before dyeing.
So we've spoken about the actual colour indigo, but let's talk more about the designs that were used with this colour, because that's where it really becomes exciting, and it combines a colour with art and pattern, which is what we're all about. So tell us about some of the famous designs that have come about.
Well, so in Indian design, you've got these designs. So there is Paisley. We've all heard of Paisley. Mm-hmm. And why is it called Paisley? Because in India, it wasn't called Paisley, because Paisley happens to be a place in Scotland, which is when we started printing and weaving shawls named after and using this design. So we call it Paisley. But in fact, in India, it was named after, it's actually the shape of a mango. So
the bota.
Bota. Exactly.
So a mango shape, also called bota.
Bota.
Absolutely fascinating. Because I didn't know that. I thought Paisley's Paisley, and you have no idea it's come from a completely different part of the world. That's amazing. And there's other sort of famous designs and motifs.
Yes. So you might have heard Tree of Life.
Well, I have. Because my son is called Bodhi, and that is the Bodhi tree, and that is, his spelling of it is Bodhi. So I know a little bit about that. But that's a hugely symbolic design across the world.
Yeah. And I'm not necessarily saying it came from India, but it would come from that part of the world. It was this idea that it was
eternal life, prosperity, cycle of birth and death, and all of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then there's also something about a pomegranate. So we've got a mango.
So pomegranate, a mango. Pomegranates, I think you'll see that in Greek mythology as well, the Greek design. So I think that was a design. It was a fruit that obviously you cut it open. It's full of seeds.
And who doesn't like a pomegranate? I mean, they're beautiful, they're delicious.
To draw and... they're a lovely design.
They are. But they also represent a lot.
Yeah. So you see it in design in India a lot. Full of little dots. Just gorgeous. I'll show you some photographs. And
a marigold.
And the marigold. Well,
the marigold flower.
You've been in India. You see marigolds everywhere. And that lovely, slightly... jaggedy edge to it all. So you see that again and again and again.
Absolutely. And very importantly, the lotus flower.
Lotus.
Talking about your new stencils.
Yep, exactly.
Get that little plug in there. That's a really commonly associated symbol of India and Indian design, I'd say.
Actually, all the East, actually. But Yeah, so the whole water lily and lotus and all of that.
But this is when the colour really becomes interesting because it's being interpreted and used in a really creative, beautiful way.
And we haven't stopped using it. No. We use lotus and all of these flowers. Mm-hmm. And particularly when you look at things like what you might call chintz.
Right.
Now, chintz, I know, is very much, I'm not sure, European. I don't think it's so well known in America. They don't use that word so much.
Mm-hmm. Would they have an alternative?
I'm not sure if they have an alternative. It might not be known as... Anyway, we call it chintz. Mm-hmm. And we also... But the Indians didn't call it chintz.
We've taken all these ideas and given them names of our own.
Well, there was a word which was called chintz, which meant a speckled design.
Right.
And we got the idea that it was all chintz or cheats. Mm-hmm. I don't know how they said it. And so they thought it meant that the design that we call chintz, which is the design which lots of flowers and plants and design on it, and often has got a slight sheen to it, a sort of satiny shine to it. We thought that's what we think in Britain. Mm. And it's become very much associated with the English country house look. Mm-hmm. So that's what
very chintzy. See.
You say it was very chintzy.
Very chintzy, yeah.
Which comes in and out of fashion. I think at the moment, I think it might be in. Who knows? I don't know.
Who knows? Who cares? As long as we like it. So do you love chintz?
Oh, some chintz I absolutely love.
And what is it you love about it?
I love chintz. And I think, it's, there are just some beautiful chintz. It's obviously like anything. There's some horrible ones. But honestly, when you see a good one, oh my goodness. So this, I could call it chintz. What I love about it is partly that it looks so modern. But, that is, I think, 15th century.
Incredible.
It's just amazing. It's a floor cloth from India.
Mm-hmm. And will that have been created using a block print?
Probably,
because it's got that very kind of linear formation.
Yeah, in 2 colours. Mm-hmm. There is a beautiful, I think that is Indian as well, or it might be made for the British or the European market, I'm not sure. Sometimes these were block printed and hand painted as well. Blows your mind. Mm-hmm. I think that's just gorgeous. All that blue there. A lot of these do actually show madder and indigo because they are sort of works hand in hand. It proves
that we're doing our research and putting the 2 episodes together. It works, doesn't it?
This is really beautiful, I think. This is a really beautiful blue one. And this I love.
And how do they link to, is it Mughal?
Mughal. No, that's completely
different.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not completely different. So, I told you about I've written some notes and explained about where we've first seen these designs. So the Mughal Empire is, Akbar was the king, and he had this incredible dynasty, mm-hmm. and from about 16th century onward, an incredibly enlightened, amazing man. And he was very good at helping the arts flourish. And so you can see that these are really early 15th, 16th century, and the most wonderful imagery. There's most wonderful miniatures, beautifully painted.
Mm-hmm. And if somebody doesn't know what a miniature is?
Oh, well, it's any word just meaning a miniature painting.
But it's really, really tiny and intricate.
It's not tiny, not like the English ones.
Okay.
English ones would be
really tiny. Okay.
These are just called miniatures, but in fact, they are probably that sort of size.
Okay.
But they're still repeated.
Tiny little brushes, really, really intricate, small brushwork.
Yeah. And these are, the point about them though is that you see the designs on these.
Absolutely.
They're the same prints. And so you can see that this has been going on in India for a long time. We've sort of jumped around with our time scale here because it's so complicated, because everything really relates to everything else. I try to write notes for Tristan to read.
And this was a hefty old
But this was a
one.
lot, because I got really into it. And I found it quite it's quite complex to understand where do you start with it all. But I love this one. You see, they've all got these beautiful clothes, men and women, of course.
But it all comes back to India, which I think has been a really clear message from this episode, that we have a lot to thank India for. It's that they are really who introduced the world to the colour.
I mean, India is only a new concept. So it's only from the 1940s or 45, not 49, 48. That's when partition happened. So I would like to say it's the whole of the India subcontinent. So it would have been Pakistan, India and Bangladesh. It was one big area. And it's a bit unfair that India gets it all.
It is a bit, actually. No, it's good to clarify that. But they've done a huge amount, and they continue to do a huge amount for design in the world.
Well, the Mughal was actually in southern India, but Rajasthan, where a lot of stuff goes on, is up in, towards Pakistan. And of course, there was loads and loads of stuff going on, sari making and what have you in Bangladesh, which was,
It's an incredible place and so inspiring. You've also got this wonderful book. Would you like to talk about that at all?
So,
because that really is.
Where's my beautiful book? Where did I put it? Here it is. So I was given by a very lovely friend, Julia, the Indian Textile Source Book. Oh my gosh. So I've just spent the last few weeks reading it, going through it, discussing it with David, poor David. Every page is a winner.
Absolutely.
And I'm just opening it up at random here.
Well, I love this sort of book because you can read it or you can just open it up, have a flick through and be inspired.
Yeah. But the writing actually...
Quite complex.
It's complex, but it blows your mind because you suddenly realise, what that picture really does seem.
And you said before we started recording, what's really intrigued you through reading this book is the trade links. You didn't realise it was so important.
So important, and how it's influenced, how we started really, that everyone's connected to everyone else. So it is, mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
Really incredible. And how early all of this stuff's been going on.
Well, I think whichever episode we do, it always amazes me how early we're talking here.
Yeah. So this is Napoleonic Blue, which I've got to get back to Napoleonic Blue.
I was just about to say that,
Good. Right, so...
It's indigo. Your paint, which is not a dye, it's a paint, although you can use it as a dye, but that's another story. It's called Napoleonic Blue. We've discussed the colour, what it's like, how it's inspired from indigo, but talk to us a little bit more about Napoleonic as a colour. When's it used well? What do you like to use it with? How long's it been around?
Well, I love it as a colour. I think it's fantastic because I think blue is really a popular colour anyway. So I've got a wall colour, which is Napoleonic Blue. And I also have a chalk paint because I see it being able to be used in lots and lots of different ways. It can be used with lots of different colours. It can be used with pale pinks. It can be used with whites and darker blues. It can be used with greens. I mean, actually, I don't think there's a colour it doesn't go with. No. It really is just incredible.
And the fact that there's red in there, a little bit of red, does that affect which colours it could work well with?
Not really, but it just makes it warm because some people are quite scared of the coldness of blue. I think that's a myth in many ways. But because I've got another colour, which is Aubuchon, which we've already done, which is a slightly cooler colour, but a cooler blue. It's greeny. But Napoleonic is warm. And it's the colour that I have in if anybody's been to my studio, or not off my studio is an office. And my office is is all Napoleonic Blue.
And why?
Well,
what was the thought process?
My idea was that I want somewhere which is very calming.
You don't have a busy life, do you?
No.
You don't need anything.
No, I do nothing. I just sit around.
No, your office needs to be.
I've a very active mind, and I think I need calming. And so what I love is my walls are Napoleonic. My floor is Antibes. It's quite beautiful green, so rather fresh and lovely, sort of quite natural. And then I have lots of lights around it because I just like to keep quite cool and calm.
Yeah. And that's relevant for people listening.
Yes.
Because it could be used, especially as you say, it's as a wall paint.
Yeah.
You could create a whole ambience and flavour to a room.
Yeah. The other thing about blue, and that particular blue, is that there is no, it's like the sky. It just goes on and on. And so it doesn't come in on you, although it's a dark colour, it doesn't impinge. It's just like, it just goes on.
I suppose that's a misconception maybe of people thinking, oh, a darker, strong colour will be too much, it'll be too heavy. But actually you're saying it sort of does the opposite if you get the right colour. Very
calming and very, yes, it doesn't project at you.
Recedes?
Recedes.
That's the word?
That's the technical word.
Check me out. I'm learning. It's working.
So it's a very, calming colour. Yeah.
And when I was reading your notes for this episode, I was really thinking, I sort of went off on a tangent thinking about the process and thinking how amazing it is, as we said, that indigo as a colour came from a plant, and it would have been, one or a few people discovering this for the first time and experimenting with that pigment and how to use it as a dye. Then I got thinking about you as a paint maker. So I kind of wanted to ask you, do you remember, specifically with Napoleonic, because we're talking about that colour, do you remember a time when you were making Napoleonic Blue, for example, and you were going into the factory and you were tweaking the recipe and you were trying to get it just right? Do you remember, and can you share anything about that process?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was also, because some people will be shouting, I expect, when I'm talking about this, going, what about lapis lazuli? So lapis is part of the whole experience, but I'm going to use that and do another episode about that. So I was thinking about two things. One, I was sort of thinking about indigo, but I was also thinking about lapis lazuli. So that's when I was making it. But I wanted it not to be I wanted it to be less intense. So a little bit deeper, more of the indigo-y feel than lapis. So I was just trying to get it a clean colour.
So you had a strong vision, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And when did Napoleonic come out as a colour? Was it one of the first ones?
Number 3. Oh, number 3.
So it was in that first group of 12 colours.
Yes.
And back
was it number 6? Sorry, number 6.
But either way, it was an important colour from day one.
Yeah.
And back then, we're talking 1990-ish, 35 years of chalk paint.
1990.
The team has grown, the factory has grown in these 35 years, and technology's grown.
Yeah.
So now making paint has a slightly different format. Back then in 1990, do you remember sort of being in there with whoever it was and saying, no, add more of this, Michael, or do more of this?
Well, it wasn't in Britain, of course, it was in Belgium.
Okay.
And so we were talking very much with a guy who, Patrick, his name was.
Patrick, close with Michael.
Patrick, although which unbelievably is a very Belgian name for some reason. And so, I was working with him and saying it had to be this and had to be that. Trying to get him not to put black in the paint.
Yes.
That was
get
very
your hands
important.
off the black pigment.
Yeah.
But it's quite humbling to think back, I suppose, that those early days when it was on a much smaller scale and trying to just get the colours right. And now it's, obviously it's grown.
Well, unbelievably at that point, we were adding paint or pigments rather, to the vat of paint. And so sometimes you'd have to be adding small amounts, a bit like when I always think it reminded me of when you make pancakes. Make a pancake mix and you've got to be careful not to add too much milk. Otherwise you've got to add some more flour.
I was about to liken it to my cooking. I'm like, a bit more of this,
bit more of that. So we were a bit like that. We had this, I've got a photograph somewhere of
I'd love
Patrick.
To see that.
I'm going to see if I can find it. Patrick and I making the paint, and he would be adding a little bit and then testing it.
And you saying, Patrick, add a bit more. Add a bit more of this.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Whereas now it's, the process has to be documented to the ounce or whatever.
And when we now make it and test it 3 times during the making.
For quality assurance.
To make the colour exactly, because we've got all these MasterCards. It's got to match the MasterCards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just made me dwell on that, and I thought, gosh, how exciting for that person who discovered indigo.
Oh, yeah.
And also how exciting for you to be kind of thinking, right, we're making a paint and we're going to do this and we've got to get it right. And if we're thinking of the colour triangle or the colour wheel, what sits opposite Napoleonic blue, specifically this blue, on the colour triangle or wheel that would be a complementary?
Well, orange. I'm not suggesting you necessarily put bright orange next to it, but I would think that sort of paprikas, the terracotta, the slightly brownier colours, browns and blues look beautiful. Primer red and blue, it's just gorgeous. You can add some white and start to make it, I dare say apricot, but
Ooh,
careful. But yeah, we've got a lovely colour, sandalwood.
Yes.
And little dots of that are just beautiful.
And what happens if you add white to Napoleonic blue?
You get a very nice pale blue. Yeah.
Great. And that's a lovely way of...
Absolutely. I mean, paint a piece of blue in Napoleonic blue and then maybe do a design on top of it in a pale blue. Just add some white to it.
So it's the same paint, but altered. So it works harmoniously.
Same colour, different tone.
Different tone.
That's the way.
And what would be a harmonious colour to Napoleonic blue?
All the sort of, as you go along, the greens, the blues turning to greens, the blues turning to purples.
So it's the colours near it.
It's by it, yeah. And so you can go into the greeny colours, which would be like Florence.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, Napoleonic blue and Florence is so gorgeous. So it goes
very
on.
earthy, literally the earth. It's those sorts of greens and blues together.
Yeah.
But they do say greens and blues should never be seen.
I know, unless there's white in between, but there's the Victorians for you.
I disagree with that
I totally.
Well, I as we've said throughout this episode, it has been quite a lot and we've jumped around a bit, but that's because it is such a fascinating subject and there is a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
So well done for keeping with us.
Thank you.
We have already said where we're going next time and why, but just reiterate that for us.
It's burgundy and madder.
Madder, and that is also a dye.
It's a dye.
A plant.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, we will see everyone next time. But as always, keep an eye on socials of all descriptions to see imagery from this podcast.
Yeah.
And you'll put the images of the cushions and the shawls and the fabrics you've shown, as well as the book.
I want to say that this time...
Well, I didn't want to say that then.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, we have been making a video and I've ignored the...
Well, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
But so hopefully this will be on YouTube.
Hopefully. We don't know. This is a bit of a tryout. So if you think it's dreadful, don't tell us, please.
No, don't tell us.
Don't tell us.
No.
We're trying our best.
Yes.
Well, actually, I'm not doing the trying, nor is Tristan.
It's Vinny.
It's Vinny trying his best. So you can only, this is a start and maybe we will get better. Who knows?
We will. It's good. But this is a very visual podcast. And actually, it's nice to be able to share the imagery, whether that's on social media, on YouTube, wherever. So we will try our best to do that.
Yeah.
But we'll look forward.
Be kind, please.
Always. We'll see you next time, though. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Bye.